Even day 3. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 6th episode of Lake Connections. Jared Wakefield, that's Bob.
Yeah, that's me, and that was very ripped through very fast, but very good job on that with different
Thanks.
different stuff. Like, oh my lord. All right, well, just start.
Well, Thomas, the sports guest is over as basketball gets underway this week in Liquor Sports. Thomas, the snow is coming from the west, so Oswego men's basketball did the smart thing, and they went away from the lake to start their season.
It was very smart navigation-wise, but nonetheless, we're going to start things off on the road for the number 5 Oswego State men's basketball team went down to Eastern Connecticut to kick off their 2022-23 season. The Lakers will come back with hardware after being home Friday, 65-63, followed by defeating hosts in the Eastern Connecticut State Warriors by a score of 60-50. Jared, clearly this team is on the right track, picking up exactly where they left off from last year.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Let's take a look at this first half. Oswego down 5 in the first half against Hart, but they rallied back to lead by 16 in the second half. Got a little close to the end. You know, the Statesmen fought back. They're very solid over the past few years, but Rocky Anderson has had a great start to the season. He obviously started the season here again in the October, 50.3% field. Had the upper from the field in both matchups. Boards, it was in favor of Hobart in the first one, and even in the second one. Still, Oswego taking 8 balls away from the Hobart Statesmen, so Oswego pretty good on both sides of the ball. Contributions from all up and down the bench.
Yeah, you're really getting everything within this. Aki Anderson getting 15 on the first day, 21 on the second. Devin Green getting 12 in that first game. Jeremiah Sparks only had 7, which was a little bit scary at first, but he made up for it with 15 on that Saturday. They went 38.5 from the field on that game against Eastern Connecticut State. A little bit of a concern, but nonetheless, they go 2-0 to start the year.
Yeah, and a big one, you know, is that a lot of their new players have been contributing as well, especially Cartier Bowman. Obviously, you know, he's a guy that's been really hyped up by this team as a big transfer coming in from D2, and he came in with 15 boards, so a great week for him. But one team that did not dodge the freeze from Lake Ontario was the women's basketball team. They opened their season with the Oswego Invitational right here in the Zeal. On Friday night, the Lakers opened the tournament with an 86-84 win in overtime thanks to a late bucket by Diamond Pickett over Keystone College. They then faced SUNY Polytechnic in the championship game, where a Pickett plunk secured the 65-64 chip game for the Lakers. And Thomas, we've known the hype about this team the past few years. They really struggled last year, but the Lakers showed some offense by committee that they're hoping to have. That being said, though, Diamond Pickett and Carly Leo leading this team right now.
Yeah, right now I think they've done very well in starting off the year. I mean, you talk about that game against Keystone was just absolutely insane. Back and forth, going into overtime. Kaylee Leo getting 23, Castiglione 15, Iglesias 15, Pickett 14, but also had the 12 boards. She was insane in the first game, and then moving into SUNY Poly, really just dominated this team as a whole. Great job by the Oswego State Lakers going into their matchups this week. We'll touch up on that later. But nonetheless, Oswego getting a key 2 wins to start off the year.
Something very interesting to me, Turgeon, you know, we can look at the numbers, all this and that. The chemistry just looks like it there. You know, watching this team in that first game against Keystone, everybody excited in warm-ups, everybody, you know, happy to be there, not quite fooling around, but, you know, having fun with it, you know, staying loose, not getting overly tense. And both of those games ended up being really close, really high pressure. You know, not like, you know, crazy top tier. They're not going to make a national poll, but these are good teams that Oswego was able to play. They're off in the right step, and it was just the start of what has been a good couple games for them.
Yeah, they were absolutely definitely a key team to start off with, and they've been really competitive to start off the year. But it did not stop there, as we'll recap the final women's basketball game up to date, where Sean Pinkerton let the typical starters really sit on the bench as the new girls would take it on to the Wells College Express to make sure the train did not even leave the station by beating them by a final score of 88-20, a game where fundamentals were really in large focus. And Jared, we kind of expected this game to really not be pretty, and it wasn't, to say the least. But at the same time, you're working on little things to go into next week.
Yeah, you know, Wells College, a smaller college right down on Cuba Lake in Aurora, New York. Again, a very small private college. They talked about shutting down when the COVID pandemic came in. Fortunately, they stay open, but they obviously brought a pretty small unit, about 8 players, up to Oswego, and it showed. They put up 4 points in 3 of the 4 quarters. But, you know, this good opportunity for Pinkerton's squad to really just get some time, get players in off the bench. A lot of freshmen, you know, Giovanna White-Principio from my hometown of Waterloo put up 3 blocks in that game. So a big game there. Yeah, maybe a little tire pump, but you know, a good thing for us. We go 52 points in the paint, 62 bench points. So everybody getting rotated on some court time. You know, this is a win if you're Sean Pinkerton. You can get your freshmen out on the court in what is a fairly low-pressure environment. And while Score says they perform, Thomas.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you said it yourself, 62 points from the bench. They're 45% from the field, 33 from three-point line. The one thing that I will be bothered by is the 35% from the free throw line.
Absolutely, but moving back over to men's basketball now, where that team continued their out-of-conference stretch as they traveled north to battle the Clarkson Golden Knights. The Lakers knocked the Knights off the horse in a 94-69 rout in the North Country, although it was not a rout at first. Lakers only led by 5 in the half before coming out firing in the second half. Lakers shot 53% from the field and 50% from the arc in their third win of the season. And Thomas, the Lakers are on the road a lot this year. It's one of the biggest storylines around this team as they're ranked number 5 in the nation. But they're showing that it doesn't matter what gym they're in, they're still dominating.
Yeah, they've been really on top of it. And you talk about at the beginning of the game, it was a little bit scary. But Devin Green, on the other hand, he went off in this game, not to really discredit any of the other guys. Jamal Achille, 18 points. Sparks, 16. Aki Anderson, 10 points. This team is scoring by committee, and I think really Jason Leone wants this team to be that way. Last year, they really had the same guys, and they were just genuinely spreading the wealth in a way. I mean, you talk about 5 3-pointers, though, for Devin Green. That's really insane. He went 5 for 6 from three-point land, and that's really, really a good start off to his year, and then Cartier-Bowman with 11 boards already.
Yeah, I mean, this team has been so good at getting the boards and working the paint and trying to get those turnovers on missed offensive chances. 37 defensive rebounds for the Oswego State team in this matchup. So really good weekend for them. They're able to knock off the Golden Knights.
Yeah, they were definitely really a team that should be moving in the right path, you could think. But nonetheless, I mean, they'll move on. And that'll give us to a quick break. When we come back, it's going to be the Zeal Zip right here on Laker Connections. We'll be right back.
Sorry, I kind of forgot who was there.
Put the keys down, Kevin.
But I'm gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
I guess I have really been looking for love in this dating app. Yep, I'm definitely gonna call a ride home.
I think you could build a house here with how many bricks are being laid in this game.
That is a rapid nosedive, and it is at the point of no return, guys.
Skibbity bottom dada, yo yo yo. Hey, welcome back to Laker Connection. This is the show with Bubs and the Pro. And well, Thomas, it's getting cold outside, which means it's time to zip up those jackets and head across 104 for this week's Zeal Zip.
Absolutely. This week's Zeal Zip will go right into it with the Oswego State women's basketball team. They really keep chugging along with their non-conference schedule, where next week they'll face off against SUNY Delhi on Saturday, followed by coming back home to face off against the Alfred University Saxons on Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So, Jared, really, this team is chugging along a little bit, and I think this weekend is really they keep the momentum going and try and capture 2 more dubs.
Yeah, again, Thomas, 2 small college teams the Lakers haven't seen a whole lot of, but, you know, again, these are teams that are going to be better than Wells. Last year, the Broncos from Delhi came up and played Oswego, lost that game to Oswego 75-39, so they were able to put up a fight, but at the end of the day, the Lakers still strong. Obviously, the Lakers 1-0 at home in their only game against Delhi. The Alfred Saxons are 2-2 against Oswego. Last game, it was 74-67 Alfred. So this is another good test for Oswego. See if you can beat a team that beat you last year, this arguably might be one of their biggest tests yet to start the year, and that'll let us know how real the hype is and just how good this team could be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you talk about this team, and the game against Keystone was a no-brainer. They were just constantly relentless. Keystone had a couple breaks, but then Oswego would go on a run. They'd allow that run to come back to make things back to square, but it should be interesting to see what this team is able to do really for against Alfred.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that Oswego's really struggled with turning the ball over to start the year. They're averaging about 10 or so more turnovers than their opponents so far this year. So I'm interested to see what Pinkerton will do in the bench, how deep will go in that bench. We saw pretty much everybody get rotated in against Wells. I'm very interested to see what he'll do against a team like Delhi or maybe even Alfred.
I mean, you talk about Alfred. They're going to have a tournament on Friday and Saturday at home. First against Fredonia, Casanova on Saturday. That gives you only 2 days of rest, really, and then you go on Tuesday against Oswego, so we'll see what happens from there.
Speaking of that, we'll see what happens with men's basketball as they take to the court in Rochester on Turkey Week Tuesday to face off against another Golden team, the Nazareth Golden Flyers. Last year, the Flyers barely flew over the Lakers by a final score of 67-65. Oswego led in the first half by 9, but only put up 26 points in the second half. And Thomas, Nazareth enters the season with 4 votes in the D3Hoops.com Top 25 poll this year. This is going to be a big test for the number 5 Lakers, a team that's sniffing the poll this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And this team for Oswego State, I mean, they've really struggled against Nazareth all time. 23-10 are the Golden Flyers. They're 13-3 at home. So we talk about how much that home court advantage showed last year against Marietta. I mean, they lost to Nazareth here on home court last year, which was a critical blow. Personally, I think it was one of the reasons why they didn't get a host site for the national tournament, so that did hurt. But nonetheless, this is a good test for them. Nazareth, a competitive team year in and year out. Jason Leone goes to work when it comes to pinpointing his non-conference opponents to make sure they're really up to par with his squad.
Yeah, I agree, Thomas. A lot of people pinpointed that loss last year as, arguably Oswego's biggest loss of the regular season. Then they had that great run in the tournament all year long. But, it's going to be interesting to see what the Lakers do. Aki Anderson, really hot start to the year. We could see if he stays hot, and a lot of players competing for playing time right now. As you can see, a lot of players, the highest players are getting like 30, 33 minutes a game. So everybody really chipping in, everybody getting on the court, and it's a really competitive team. But that's a good thing you want to see. You want to see that in a number 5 team, see people fighting to be on the court and everybody performing when they're out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you want this competitive edge with this team. I mean, you talk about the depth on this team. I mean, last year they had probably closer to 20 guys on their roster, and a lot of them played in those games. Granted, they were blowing out a couple teams ridiculously, but they got in the playing time, which allowing for those other players to really rest up and get that really last refresher. But we'll speak of men's. We'll get the non-conference matchups out of the way. Jason Leone and company will face the Fredonia Blue Devils to open up SUNYAC play. Fredonia, a team where they currently are 0-4 going into this weekend, facing off against Canisius and John Carroll, followed by Oswego after the holiday break to open up their SUNYAC play as well. Jared, I tell you what, I don't know what to expect out of this matchup. Currently on the road, it was close, but at home, it was everything but close for Oswego.
And that was really how a lot of those SUNYAC games were last year for Oswego. To be frank with you, not a lot of them were really that close. And, it's interesting to see what Fredonia does. They've played good teams to start the year. They went out to the University of Rochester tournament, played 2 teams from Texas, 2 teams that are extremely good, and obviously they struggled there. They're 0-4 to start the year. Fredonia last year went 3 in 2022. Their only 3 wins came in conference, and like you said, anytime Oswego had a home SUNYAC opponent last year, even in the tournament, in the playoffs, they cooked them like a beautiful steak. I mean, it just wasn't close.
It wasn't even close. I mean, we're talking about this team dropped triple digits in Max Zeal against Fredonia. They dropped over 100 points against the Fredonia Blue Devils here in the Zeal. I don't think it'll get that crazy, but granted, I mean, this team is definitely going to be competitive. They're going to have to not overlook Fredonia for sure.
Yeah, it's absolutely going to be interesting to see what happens in the Lakers' first SUNYAC match of the year. But we're all caught up on basketball, so when we come back, it's time to tap into the Wheelhouse Wire. Don't go anywhere. Hockey is next on Laker Connections.
Hey guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take wildfire prevention seriously and let's save the world one day at a time. Juntos con Smokey Bear, podemos hacerlo. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
This is not the interview show. This is Laker Connections. I'm Jared Wakefield, and he's Thomas Turgeon. Thomas, hockey, go!
All right. Well, needless to say, the Oswego State Lakers face off against the Geneseo Knights. And I mean, Jared, this is a team where Geneseo number 3 in the nation. So you talk about a big test for Oswego to prove. Oswego, Geneseo, a big contest. I mean, we'll see the footage from last year. They came to Deb Grant. It's on the road in the Ira this year, and they haven't won in quite some time. But I think really this is the year.
I think the bigger thing to add on to that too is that it isn't just they haven't won in some time. Is that when they did play last year, it wasn't close. It wasn't close in the SUNYAC championship game. It wasn't close here. It was a little closer when they went on the road. It was at least in the SUNYAC championship there was a chance. But this year, definitely
on the road it was a little more.
That's true. It was closer every time they went in the Ira, which is a little bit odd. But I definitely agree with you. This year feels way different. Last year the team seemed like they were struggling with speed a little bit. This year, that's not the case. The team's pretty fast. And, Geneseo, arguably as vulnerable as they've ever been. They lost to Skidmore and tied Plattsburgh, 2 unranked teams. It'll be interesting to see what number 9 does against number 3.
Absolutely.
So even in hockey, we cannot escape adjective bird teams. The Lakers come home to Port on Saturday to face another Rochester area adjective bird team in the Brockport Golden Eagles. Brockport has been up and down to start conference play. They beat Potsdam and Morrisville handily, but the Plattsburgh Cardinals invaded the nest in a 9-2 romp in the Ronnie. Thomas, this is a team that lost some key players last year, but they still should give Oswego a challenge.
Yeah, I think nonetheless, you talk with Ed Gosick every week, and he gives you the same answer whether you like it or not, that these teams, it's the SUNYAC, it's the depth of their league, and every team could knock any team on any given night. As much as it's redundant, it is completely 100% accurate. Brockport not getting the start they wanted this year, getting romped by Plattsburgh. That was atrocious. But at the same time, you look at this team, their goaltending struggled at the end of the year. It's transpired into this year, and their leading offensive point getter, Ryan Romeo, on the back end, he's now gone. So now you need really a filler for that.
Yeah, losing a 32-point defenseman on the year in 24 games, that's going to hurt a little bit. And the big thing is they're staying out of the box this year. Only 56 penalty minutes, so they're not doing that bad. While the men are on the ice in the Ira, the Oswego State women's hockey team hosts number 12 SUNY Cortland in the Deb on Friday. The Lakers are looking for their 4th straight conference win against Cortland, a team that knocked them out of the new HL playoffs last year. In this last year's series, the team split the series 2-2, including that playoff game. Cortland has played 4 games this year with a goal differential of 5.7 in their first 4 games, Thomas.
Yeah, this is a team, though. You look at the beginning of their year so far, and they got 2 wins against Buff State. They got 2 wins against Stevenson. Neither team really up to the pedigree that we've seen out of Cortland. So we really don't know what to expect out of this team. Stevenson 4-2 to start the year. They went 500 last year. Their only 2 losses were to Cortland. Their stats, I feel like, are really inflated. The shots were 56.5 to 16.3 on average compared in favor of Cortland to their opponents. So really, you don't know what to expect out of Cortland this year. You know they're going to be competitive, though.
This is certainly probably the most competitive team they played. They played Stevenson, whose women's program has struggled, and Buff State, sort of the same deal.
Yeah, absolutely. But before they go and take on Cortland, the women's hockey team will also be back on Tuesday before Thanksgiving to face off against the William Smith Herons, a team where Oswego struggled with last year and would split the non-conference series. However, Jared, although not a team in the conference, I feel like they still need to get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the first thing I have on my notes, Thomas, pesky Herons. This is a fairly new program coming out of Geneva, coming out of the cooler with the Hobart Statesman. In fact, another bird. The Herons, you could say it was an upset against Oswego last year. They're a relatively new program, and as I mentioned, solid defense. Oswego is going to really need to up the passing game. It's one of the things we focused on, is talked about all year, is the passes. They're good. They're good hard passes, not quite on the tape. Have to limit their own giveaways to try and go 1-1 or even 2-0 this weekend.
Really, one of the things that I noticed was how Oswego in practice this week, Coach Digby was emphasizing passing. And really, that's what we noticed with their passes were a little too hard. They couldn't really keep it on their stick, and that's what really broke them.
Absolutely. Well, that'll do it for the Wheelhouse Wire here on Laker Connection. When we come back, screaming time. Laker Showdown is next.
Put the keys down, Kevin.
But I'm gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
I guess I have really been looking for love in this dating app. Yep, I'm definitely gonna call a ride home.
Jill told me it was Kitty from Glee. Yeah, what is it?
It's Al Roker.
Welcome back to Laker Connections. I'm your moderator and NASA spaceman Tommy Tellerino here to bring you everyone's favorite segment, Laker Showdown. For those of you that don't know what's going on around here, the bogus Skip Bayless and Jared, Coach Steve Wakefield, will answer my questions and try to convince me why they have the better answer. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Let me fix my hair.
Oh, my Lord.
I'm ready.
All right, you ready? All right, Coach Steve. We start off with some men's hockey. Over the past couple weeks, we have seen goalie Cal Shell dominate in goal for the Lakers as starting goalie. He has posted incredible stats with only one goal allowed all whiteout weekend and a .974 save percentage and 23 saves the next game against Cortland. Guys, is Cal Shell the missing piece to a trip to the NCAA tournament in this one? All right, Skip.
I'm going to go with no, and this is the reason why. Goaltending really wasn't the issue with this team last year, and I think they'll tell you again and again it was playing a full 60 minutes. Their goaltending would play well last year. It was the same way this year. I mean, you look at that game against Potsdam, they shut down in the second period. Cortland, they shut down in the third. I mean, Shell, yes, he probably wants that game back, but at the same time, Coach Gosick and the guys believe they didn't really play well in front of him. So as much as we can say Shell is a piece,
let me get in here.
60 minutes.
Honestly, I do agree with you a little bit. I don't think Shell is going to be the only piece in this, but I think Shell does get them the NCAA tournament, and here's why. The Lakers have proven time and time again they like a calm goalie in the net they can trust to stay in the crease and make those saves, and Shell is that player. He'll come out and play the puck once in a while. Typically, he'll stay in his crease, work on his positioning, keep the pads down, and use his big frame to eat up those pucks.
going to have to go with Coach Steve here.
This is blasphemous.
I mean, I don't know.
Horrible.
I think his goalie play is like amazing compared to last season, what we've seen.
I mean, I don't know. I think they did well, but you can't really.
You got 2 more chances,
I
though.
got 2 more
We got 2 more chances.
Far from over.
So you're saying
Far from
It's
over.
early.
There's a chance.
You're saying there's a chance.
Over to the
Listen,
women's
there is
hockey
a
team
chance.
now. The Lakers started off rough to the season, dropping the first 3 in a row to Adrian and Potsdam. But they have gotten back to the 500 mark with 3 straight wins against Canton and 2 against Morrisville. Guys, is the women's hockey team back on the right track going forward? Are they on the canoe rowing to the right way?
I think the canoe's still at the dock, but like they've got like 1 foot in. Like they're not all the way in, but they got to nail the mount here, or they're going to end up dismounting into the water at high speed. This women's hockey team needs to show it to me. Good game against Morrisville to take those 4-1 victories, but honestly, I feel like that game should have been 8-1 again. Some missed passes, just some miscommunication, a couple players running into each other. It's early. I fully understand it. A lot of turnover, a lot of things shaken up in the lines. So I'm interested to see. They got to show it to me. So right now I'm a no.
I think they are in the canoe, and I think they made their first few paddles being 1, 2, 3 dubs in the way. And then going to Cortland, I think this will really be the stepping stone for them, and they got the momentum rolling. And shout out Mr. Jack Perdak, friend of the Epi, friend of the guys. You got to keep the momentum rolling. I think that's the key with this team being rolling right now against Cortland this Friday. Big test, big dub.
Big dub? Predict? You got a score prediction?
I don't have a score.
Nope. You're leaving me hanging?
It's very difficult.
All right, but, I mean, you mentioned Perdak. I got to go.
That's fair.
The mention of
I
Perdak
understand.
just put it
He
over
pulled the
top.
Perdak card.
He's a friend of the
That's okay.
pod.
Yeah, he is a friend of the pod.
But you got one more. We got one more.
He's a very friendly guy.
Yes.
He's a very great guy.
Thanksgiving is right around the corner, and we here at Laker Connections are excited for some good food. While turkey is arguably the center of attention at dinner for Thanksgiving, the side dishes are just as important. With that said, guys, what is the best side dish at Thanksgiving? Take it away, Bubba.
Oh my gosh. Well, for me personally, this is going to be as simplistic as it can be, but it's going to be the mashed potatoes, and the reason is because of not just because it's a classic, but because the salt and pepper. My uncle makes a turkey giblets gravy that goes with it. It's fantastic. I love it. It's just smear it all over the place with your turkey. Throw a little bit of nice salad in there, but it's going to have to go with the mashed potatoes for me. It's just super easy to eat. It's just fantastic for me.
And Turge, mashed potatoes are great. I love mashed potatoes. Listen, I got to go with ham here, and here's why. Ham, it's there next to the turkey, but with that pineapple on it, it's a little taste of the tropics, a taste from down south, down by the equator, warms you up, makes you think of summertime, a nice pineapple drink, stuff like that. Well-seasoned ham goes right with the turkey, a little bit of a break from the turkey. We all love turkey, but nice, juicy pineapple flavor. Ham, always good, always reliable. Great for leftovers as well, and I just love it. I mean, I got to go with ham. It's a little unconventional.
Hold on. Turkey or ham guy, though? That's what.
Yes.
Do you do 50-50 or do you do just an overall?
It really depends on how good each one is, because some years
That's
like
a lot of pressure.
there's the really good turkey, and some years the ham really gets the pineapple in it, and some years the turkey really well seasoned. So it depends on the year. I like 50-50. I love them both.
Oh, I don't know, Jared. I don't know about that one. I'm going mashed potatoes on this one. It's a solid foundation.
Yeah.
It's like the fruit platter. You need to have it.
I can't even get mad.
You don't need ham.
It's just
the only ham that I want is a rum ham, and if you don't have a rum ham, I don't want it on my table.
Lord. I don't know.
But look, I get it. I understand it. I'm okay with this. That's an acceptable loss.
The mashed potatoes is just clean.
Do you get gravy?
It's so good.
I do get
mashed potatoes is so good.
I do get my gravy with mashed potatoes, but nonetheless, that's going to do it for here. From all of us here at Laker Connections, we want to wish you all a safe Thanksgiving. From all of us here in the studio, producer Brian Burrows, and all of us up here, director Jacob Bradley, and all of our crew, we wish you a happy Thanksgiving. Stay safe. Good night.